Hey, everybody. I hope all of you are doing well. Um, Found out some information today related to some things that I have been working on for some time, um, related to my small business, which I don't share too terribly much about. I do try to keep them fairly separate. I generally just let my viewers know that I don't do merch on my site for my channels, for any of my channels, and I run the business separately. But of course, all these things start to intersect and collide in daily life. At any rate, this year started off with a bang, and I probably mentioned in other videos that was right away one expected trip, but one unexpected trip to go help some elderly people whose family is, shall we say, just rather hateful to those of us trying to help them. So that was unexpected. So, in other words, when that happened, my small business was closed temporarily because I could no longer ship out product. And I don't buy product and ship it out. I create the product. I do all of my own designs, creations, and yada yada. So, what happened was when I returned from my last trip to Portland, um, I actually opened my shop, prior to returning, anticipating, okay, it's to ship out on this date. Do I have enough time to get this created, sent out? Do I have the supplies for this? You know the drill. Small business owners, you do it all, right? You don't have buyers. You don't have customer service support. You don't have people doing your inventory. You don't have people tending to your website, doing your marketing, doing your social media. You are it. So it gets very chaotic. And speaking of hateful people, some of those people who have been rather hateful, but you know what? I command for them to see the light in love. So let's hope that they are doing, that they are putting that out more and caring more about people as a whole. Anyhow, those types of people, they would make like comments about what I did for a living. I think because I no longer worked for the system in which I got my degree in. I no longer worked for that university. So I was, taken from, an okay, they didn't like me anyway. So I was just okay. I was tolerable to below tolerable for them because how dare I go my own way. So then they would say things around their kids. So their kids would like target me and ask me questions like, so you just buy pieces and put them together, kind of stuff. And yeah, I had to put up with that from kids because they're not my kids. And of course, I would never think of trying to diminish the work that their parents do. Of course not, because I value and respect others, and I don't know, but this is how it's gone for me. So, in other words, I am considered, down here for a lot of family members because I run. Now, on the other side of the family, there are family members on another side that actually have started businesses, small businesses, and I tried to steer them towards the platform where I had people treat us well because it was a small community initially, or smaller, and catered towards handmade products. Of course, that has changed, and many of us just kind of dealt with it and tried to, do what we could, create more product, do what we could to compete with even the resellers and such. And I know everybody needs to make money, so I had no problem with that because, I'm small and I'm just trying to help my family and help with expenses, and at this point, just pay my doggone bills, right? So basically what happened was when I got back from caring for these people and from Portland also, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't seeing all of my funds being deposited, because on this platform, generally, once you got paid for an order and had been proven as a seller, and I've been there since 2011, so proven as a seller to have great customer support, to ship your products out on time with tracking and all of these things going on, then you get paid, which is great because someone like me is constantly, I don't buy hordes of supplies. I just buy enough to make, small amounts. I don't mass produce. So when those supplies get low, obviously, and then sometimes, they'll run out before a supplier can ship them, especially in lieu of what happened with some of the ships off of the coast of a certain country that we're not allowed to ship. And I've talked about why in some of my other reports that would probably be located more like on my BitChute or Rumble, where I could tell you everything. But I can tell you enough here. So my point is, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I got this. I finally took the time to look. It's hard to even have the time to look, right? So I knew I hadn't seen an email. I'm going to pause this to make sure I click the right one, okay? Because this video is just intended for information. I do not sell to people I know. I repeat, I do not sell to people that I know a majority of the time, okay? That is not the intent. So I need to make sure that I'm just showing what needs to be shown. So give me a moment, please. Okay, so I get this, right? I get this. During this period, 75% of the funds you earn from each order will be available for deposit until your order ships with valid tracking. Or after 45 days from the date of sale, this money is yours. It'll be applied to unexpected charges of refunds. That's the other thing. I've actually not refunded, although I've offered it when someone themselves had ordered, like instead of the matching gold, they had specifically ordered copper, and I thought nothing of it because sometimes people will buy, especially around holidays or Valentine's Day, a gift for mom and a gift for the wife. Or, in some cases, I'm pretty sure at times, I'm sorry for saying this, but it doesn't matter, right? I mean, this is how it is in the world. Sometimes it might be a gift for a wife and a gift for a girlfriend, or a gift for one girlfriend and a gift for another girlfriend. But at any rate, that is none of my concern. So I thought nothing of it. And it will be shipped, sometimes just, or sometimes to the same person, and they disperse and they'll even tell me this is for so-and-so, this is for, so I thought nothing of it. And then come to find out, he writes me, he's like, oh, I really like these, but I was hoping that, they'd both be in gold. And he knew he had ordered copper, right? So he offered if he could get a discounted rate to pay for that because he didn't want to send them back. So then what's easier to do, because I knew he didn't do it on purpose, make them send them. Now, this is while I'm struggling. I mean, once again, I have a roof over my head. We're not destitute, but you know what I mean. Try and pay those bills. Just came from a trip, and it's always in my brain because I talk with a lot of homeless people and people in certain countries where things are really horrible, where they keep the resources from people, that I know that our struggles are not the same as their struggles. So I want to make that clear. I know, but at the end of the day, we still have to pay our bills here. Wherever we've been placed in Kingdom Come, we still have to pay our bills. So I've done stuff like that. I had another lady say that her chain broke, and which never happens. It's never ever happened. I've been in business for years and years for that design, but it someone could have tugged at this. I can't question her. So then I send it out. I send out another one, and I don't make her return it first. And then I also need to. I absorb the cost, not the platform I sell on, which you can see is Etsy, okay? So not on Etsy. Etsy doesn't absorb that cost. I do, and I send it out knowing, now she'll probably send it back, but I have in the past had people, so then I stopped doing it that way most of the time. Since this was seen from the customer as not her fault, I sent it out first, okay? So with the return label requesting she place the one that she says the chain had broke. I assume from the jump ring, which has never happened either because I close those very well. I do not solder most of my jump rings because on that style it's a fat jump ring and it has never given out. But it might be a lesson. Like the one that I redid for her, I actually, because I do a lot of wire work and sculpting and I make most of my own endings so that I'm not always reliant on industrial type coming from, not that it's bad that they're coming from other countries. I'm not saying that. I just like to know that I've created it sometimes. So I went ahead and just, instead of using jump rings, I went ahead and wired everything in so that that cannot happen, but it can happen. Like the chaining itself, even though it's strong, sturdy chain, because I don't use dainty in that. It's, it's sturdy chain. It could break if it's yanked. And there's nothing I can do about that. So you guys get what I'm saying. I've had to do that on my own dime with them holding my funds. So in other words, I am just bleeding funds here. That's what's going on. And then not always getting recouped. So the weird thing is I get this excuse. And I'm getting frustrated because they've also allowed, even though I have hordes, and I've documented this, like I have hordes of great reviews. And I have to say that because I have some super nice customers. The good far outweighs the bad. But sometimes you will get a nasty customer or someone coming over. Honestly, that's prompted from one of the hateful people to come and try to cause trouble on your in your store, on your various platforms. This has happened. Not tons, but enough. And what's maddening is Etsy didn't even let me respond, even though on their platform you're supposed to be able to respond to negative reviews. And my response was always, I'm always respectful. Just like I am on these other platforms. So my response was always just being gracious, even if the customer had been rude, and saying, I'm sorry you weren't happy. I have a refund policy, yada, yada. You return it. I refund immediately upon return, which it's not happened a lot, but it has happened at times. So Etsy knows that I always honor that. I've even let people go beyond this. I do not sell to anybody that comes from this, okay? Because these are things that you don't want to get out, that you need to, do it within 30 days and it needs to be returned in the same condition. But I am very nice to people. Let's just put it that way. And there are many sellers who do handmade goods that are nice to people. So there was no reason for me to be punished. So I'm writing this letter to them because I've already written to them, right? I know it looks bad, but it's not. Okay, there's a reason for it. Recently, a letter was sent from my account that was very nice and proper. I'm, just tending to the straightforwardness of, I have always been, a great seller as far as customer support, as far as people are satisfied with my product. I fulfill my end. I go above and beyond, yada, yada, yada. All this stuff, right? And then asking, so I don't understand why I'm being treated like this. I was told that they were doing this to new sellers. That was one of their explanations on one of their things that they just put up. It was not an email. They just put it up on my account by my money as to why they weren't putting the funds into my account. So I hate talking about this because, it's honestly fairly uncomfortable. But I'm talking about this today for a reason, for what I found out. This is, once again, about the little people. And when I say little people, I mean people like me who are of the working class. We are part of, and there's many of us, the backbone of America. And then there's people in other countries that are that are working class, the backbone of their communities, getting things done. And then a lot of times we're not treated well by the big people, right? Etsy got big. They got real big. I used to brag about them and send people over, like I said, but it's almost like they got so big for their britches, they forgot about the little people that helped build them, whose backs they built their company on, is what I'm saying. So I'm telling you this because proper attend to the facts. Nobody wants to read your volume, Melissa letter was sent, okay? It was sent out a few days ago. I knew we would not hear anything, okay? And guess what? Now, one might say you manifested your own outcome. Well, I wasn't meaning to do that. Maybe I did. But I was just basing it on past behavior on Etsy's part, where when I said, this is not fair, this customer said this, thing about me, blaming me that his girlfriend didn't like the ring, so taking it out on me, when I had kindly, and Etsy could see I had written them. Even after he was rude, I was still I'm sorry, didn't like your product. You want to go, your product that you ordered and saw full pictures of and knew exactly what it was, and now you're ticked off that your girlfriend's in a bad mood because, I don't know, maybe she wanted some, $1 million diamond ring, and you went with something that's nice but more economical, that kind of thing, right? Now, I didn't say any of this, obviously. I am like a very responsible seller, and I said, something to the effect of, I'm sorry you did not like your product, as is said in my policy in my store, I have a return policy for 30 days. I mean, you're thinking, how come I'm targeted when they don't take the time to read, or they don't want to deal with reality? They just want to push it off and blame somebody, and I'm the target box, right? And Etsy allows this abuse because when I have said, they're saying things that aren't true, some of the reviews, not a ton, a few, would say things like, and now I can't do anything because I can't return it, which is a bald-faced lie. Etsy knows I have a return policy. Now they force you to also put it in their form besides me writing it in my lengthy novel descriptions, because all of my descriptions try to disclose every doggone thing about that product. That's the other thing. When you are a designer and maker, everything relies on you. Even if you were to put a jump ring in and the jump ring breaks, they don't care that you didn't make that dang jump ring. All they know is you need to stand in there. Correct. We have to stand behind our product. But do you know the pressure that puts on people? So much. And there is some value and respect from lots of people. But there are those, and it's probably because they have hate in their hearts or something, that just treat you like you are just nothing, like so beneath them, and they are so superior. But whatever. That's part of what feels like is going on with Etsy customer support, because I know that they wouldn't get back to me, and they did not. So then today, when I'm seeing all the struggles I'm having, because I am like scrambling, I'm like trying to go back to Amazon Handmade where I used to sell, but stop because it was I just needed one platform. And now I'm, there's Poshmark, going over to Posh. I'm doggone not just putting the stuff that I create, for crying out loud. I'm like throwing things out of the garage. Like, why do we have this? It's been a long time since I have seen anyone use this baseball mitt, or, why do we have this toilet training seat? I mean, my kids are long gone from that. So, whatever I can hawk, people in my house better look out, because, I'm looking around my house thinking, well, I'm always giving stuff away to Goodwill. Maybe I need to start going through closets again, and we just start selling everything. I mean, how many shirts and bottoms does everyone really need? It starts giving you new ideas, and perhaps that is the point. Just like maybe Etsy's doing me a favor, because now I'm trying to get back on Amazon Handmade, and let me tell you, it is steeper as far as now you've got to like sell your whole life to get on there. Like, I'm going to have to upload my license, apparently, a picture of it. So that's going to be fun and dandy. And my bank statement, which is laughable. Like, I'm thinking, why does Bezos need to see how much money I make? He knows he makes far more than me. He knows these things. Why? Does he sit with them and like have a laughing session with his employees? I don't know. But obviously, I'm going to jump through all the hoops, right? And then I go ahead and I'm like frustrated. So I'm like, well, I keep telling people they should stand up for themselves. I just had an incident in my family where my daughter wasn't treated well by a dentist. And she did her due process, went and visited with them, told them about things, that could be challenging. A lot of people have trouble at the dentist, right? And they were very accommodating, said, oh, yeah, we can do that. And then they didn't treat her well. A couple of the people there did not treat her well at all. Lo and behold, she did her due process and even went to respectfully comment on it on reviews. And there's other people they've done this to. So, the dawn of a new day. Weren't we all told before to just be quiet, just move along? Most of the people are fine, but guess what? You find out perhaps they've gotten away with this too many times, and it's time for them to stop being cruel to people, because honestly, what was said and done was cruel. And I'm thinking, so standing up for herself. Shouldn't I stand up for myself? So then I write this letter, okay? Now, I'm going to, not read this whole thing. You'll die. But, I lay it out. I tell them a bunch of stuff that I've told you about. I've reminded them I pay Etsy fees, yet I receive no support. Typical wait is not 1 or 2 days. It said that on the form before I got in here. This did upload. I was thinking before I uploaded this, I had better in case they retaliate, even though I don't call names. I don't yada yada. But I'm thinking they might be just furious, because I also brought up a letter that, yikes, someone sent me, and I said, I think it is possible this could have been an Etsy employee that wrote this. Now, I don't know that it was. I'll make that clear. I don't know. It's just I've gotten that inkling in the past because of some of the stuff that Etsy's done to me, that I can see they're not doing it to other people. And I feel since that letter was written that I've been targeted many times, because things have really changed for me. At any rate, I also sent them screenshots of that email and the information. I'm going to see if I can find you that email so that you can see exactly what this person said. I mean, there were people that advised me to literally call the FBI, but I think I've told you guys before. I mean, really, haven't I done reports on them before? Like they're gonna be like, oh, her. Okay, so hang on, and I'll see if I can find that. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. Another reason I wanted this report done, for me to do this report, is I want also video verification of this. Because in the back of my brain, from the things I have seen, been through, walked through, let's just call it on my journey, I have seen some crazy stuff go down. So not only did I archive this by taking screenshots in an article, and I believe I'll just go over here real fast and then come back. Yeah, there I am, still working, still just trying to document all of this stuff. Okay, that's not it. Although that's interesting. We were talking about FBI, and there's Comey. That's all I could say on here, because this is, it's going to be also on my BitChute and Rumble, but I'm clearly putting this on, where they took down a whole bunch before of my other stuff. So, painting of Bill Clinton in blue dress in Epstein's mansion. Yikes. Anyway, that one. Let's just get down, because that's not what the report is about, though. An interesting read, I might say, and a wild painting, right? So let's just come down here. What more can I say on that? I had been putting in everything. This is what I got when you try to put something, you try to get in contact with them, or you try to get verification for something. Just no onus. Uh-oh. This is their nothing's here page, or we can't do anything page, right? Which is very annoying, but whatever. That happens all the time. right? So I had given up even trying to get customer service help. But this last thing has been like hitting me hard where how am I going to pay my bills? I mean, clearly, like I said, I'm not destitute. I'm just saying stuff has to be paid. You guys know what I'm talking about. Stuff has to be doggone paid. All right. So, and there's part of it. But I documented the email because I started thinking, what if? Because I was telling them, reminding them about this email they absolutely did nothing about. And people might say, well, what could they do? Well, they could do some research to try to find out where it came from, number one, which is another reason why, since they were told and they did nothing, sure makes me wonder. Well, they sort of did something. They wouldn't let me respond when people were targeting me after that with some bad feedback. And no, I did not get feedback like that before. Obviously, there's going to be disgruntled people at times. So, but still, seemed like something was up to me. Seemed like there could be a correlation. I don't know. And then I started thinking, oh my goodness, what if they say that this page never existed? If I needed to present this somewhere to stand up for myself further. So then I started, screenshotting some of my store pages to prove that it was there and some of my reviews. Although I could just, contact certain customers and they would verify for me, but you know how that is. I've got to do a lot on my own to make sure I have verification. So I did, and all the good reviews so that they couldn't say, oh, this is just a horrible, trashy seller, just useless. You know how people can be. So, sometimes you do. I do like to look at the positives, but unfortunately, that's not what's been ruling this realm most of the time. What has it been? So my goal is to have verification so that we can start holding some of these people to be accountable. All right. So I was going to show you guys the email. So where did it go? Right here. I'm going to show you the full email. This was insane. All right. This was insane. So, all right. They wrote to all of us, including my daughter. A lot of that is because even though I do all of the product, my family has helped me. Like they've helped me ship out orders when it's gotten super busy, certain holidays like Christmas time. They have helped me. My daughters have posed for many pictures. My daughters would help with, doing part of the shipping and letter writing, things of this nature. So I had started this when my girls were much younger, still in grade school. So this has always been presented as a family business. I will say that. And to this day, at times, my family steps in and helps me with, things that I need done. I do the majority, but there are things, like what I just described. I mean, it's not kind at all. Like I thought I was getting a letter from a potential customer because honestly, nobody talks to me. There have been rude people out there, but not like this. I hope this email finds you well. And as I suspect, it will hopefully ruin your blanking day, your effing day, right? The following website was brought to my attention. All right. So I wrote something. All right. And I'm just going to say calmly and quietly, it involved an organization that involved a certain, at the top of it and associated with it was, I don't know how else to say this, Little Adam Schiff. And there was an organization with a certain word in it, and it did have to do with a charity that claimed to be helping, let's just say, young ones. Melissa McGarity has defamed a friend of mine on this webpage with the vilest and sickening accusations imaginable. Now, I want to clarify that in my writing, it is alleged. Not only alleged, but if a mainstream article doesn't say something's alleged, that is not my onus. All right? So I give sources, I give validation, I give verification of where these people have been, what they have done, what they have been photographed doing. So I have not defamed anyone. I am giving you 24 hours to unpublish or take down this page, or you will be subject to the same sickening and irrational humiliation that you have put my friend through. Huh, it's interesting, isn't it? Want to try me? So this person, so you can tell by the way that they write that they are either used to or assuming that they will get their way by demanding and threatening someone else. So right away, when I read something like that, I know. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I'm sovereign. So what? What? They can only humiliate someone who allows them to humiliate them. I have nothing to hide in what I wrote, or that story wouldn't still be there where it's at. By the way, I didn't put it there. That was the platform that she put with that title took it, which I have no issue with. I don't charge for my articles. They took it and they put it there. All right. So if I wanted to take that down, I couldn't, which is hilarious. But the want to try me? What? No, I don't want to try you. Melissa, I find you, disgusting, loathsome, and depraved. Well, I'm just going to say that the stuff that these people were involved in would maybe fit those descriptions. And I'm talking about at the administrative level, of course. You know, I'm not responsible for what people choose to do. But really, isn't this how a certain side is to those who speak out? It's almost like always trying to punish the messenger, or in some cases, the victim. But you can only be a victim if you allow them to victimize you. That is part of why we have to speak out. People have to speak out. Like my same daughter that just had something happen to her, I was so proud of her for speaking out because things like this had happened, and I had videotaped it and logged it and archived it, and I did send letters, and actually the doctor who was not involved in this, but the doctor they would not allow her to see, and then the other people were yelling and screaming. These are supposed to be professionals in the medical industry, were yelling and screaming at us. This doctor was so appalled that she left. She was done. Praise God. If we can get more of the good quality people in the medical field to leave because of the terrible way some of these people have treated others, then I believe that's a good thing. And that's all I'll say about that. So, interesting. If it was up to me personally, I would do a lot worse. Really? I mean, seriously? Some of this shows, just by the language used, that this is someone who is used to ranting, raving, being all talk and boasting about what they do, boasting about what they say they will do rather than what they will do, right? If this situation is not rectified, good word, rectify it. In the time that I've given you, I will forward a nice little photo project that I have been working on to the Noblesville City Council, principal, and administrators of the local school. Well, I wonder what that could be. And I am not sure, except for the fact that she would have done what she considered her homework. Probably went on over to my social media and found out that, I have taught at various places and she assumed, although I did almost work for them, I will say, but I am the one that decided, I think I'm going to do my side business full time. And so then I did not engage, even though I had been placed on of this city. So, I'm not sure what she was, maybe she was going to send in my articles. I don't know, but I mean, what are they going to do about my articles? They're articles with verified sources. You know what? I hope she sent them to them because they might have learned something. I'm not just saying from me. I'm saying they might have learned something from the sources, from my sources, my witnesses, my files, and my cases. So I kind of hope she did. You will know very soon what it's like to wake up with a stomachache that won't go away. Well, I guess she hasn't met me yet, has she? Because I woke up with a stomachache the other day, and do you know how long it lasted? Not very long. I told that thing to get out now in Jesus' name, that we weren't going to have that I wasn't doing that, and I wasn't doing it anymore. I did have, now it takes me a while. I don't always like to eat right away in the morning. I do love coffee. Oh my goodness, I will have like 2 cups of coffee a lot of times before I will eat anything. But I will make breakfast sometimes for the family, and I will eat that. So I was able to even eat eggs. So I guess my nausea went away. No stomach aches over this. I know that. Now, this was a while back, but I just find it humorous and rude. I think you will both agree that it's in your best interest. Well, she wrote it to my daughter, too. She put my daughter's name in there, too. I think you will both agree that it's in your best interest to dissolve this vile webpage immediately. It's not even my webpage. I hope you have a joyous day, not a friend. P.S. If anyone that you have defamed and slandered on the site above is also mentioned in one of your sickening YouTube... Oh! That's what it was. So she heard one of my YouTube conspiracy rants. I would quickly start hitting the delete button. Oh, well, I didn't have to. It's just they took the whole channel down. But they took it down far after she probably did. She and her minions probably went over and just had a grand old time wreaking havoc. But whatever. Okay, so interesting, right? Oh yeah. And then she oh my goodness. I shouldn't have even flipped over there, but she literally showed me like a picture of my bedroom. Now, granted, it was an old picture before I even owned the house. But it was weird that she found the right bedroom. I will say that's weird because in my house, there are, like, you wouldn't even know for sure which one was the master bedroom. Let's put it that way. Well, I think she probably figured it out, probably from the video reports I do. That's probably how she figured it out. Although, in all fairness, I have done video reports from my daughter's room and from my basement. So, yeah. But when people wanted me to call because she has my address and knows where I live, although, she could have started a new account after being a customer and gotten my address that way. So that's another way, right? Is the FBI going to save me? Are the police going to save me? Now, I'm not saying there aren't those that try to do their job. There are. There are good people everywhere, bad people everywhere. But I'm not going to wait for their response time. I protect myself. So, plus, I put a literal hedge of protection around my family and myself, so I pretty much don't live in fear. So her little shenanigans didn't work for me. But Etsy doesn't know that. And Etsy should have found out, or at least done some due process to find out why this person was allowed to be writing this kind of stuff on their platform. This has nothing to do with the business, right? So isn't that interesting? But yet they did nothing. So that was why the letter. Now, after all of this happened, and I'm telling them things and I'm letting them know that I have taken screenshots, that I have documented it all and yada, yada, I start searching because I'm like, why is it that Etsy still does not have a customer service number? They used to when they were smaller, but all of a sudden they don't. They're too big for their britches, but yet they make all this money. So I started poking around, and then I was a little appalled at myself. I'm going to be honest. I was appalled at myself because, for years I've done research, and I still do research, but I do research more, let's just say, in the physics realm than on some of these cases that I did involving rings and involving some people high up in government. All right. So more on physics now. But still, I just keep telling myself, you would have thought that I would have known, for crying out loud. Although I have been swamped trying to save my hide and pay the bills. So I've been scrambling. That's what I've been doing. I have been scrambling. So there's been very little time. That, and I still have a family and I still have other obligations. So it's been a little crazy. So, I'm kind of letting myself off the hook a little bit with that. But I see this, okay, after I saw this. Etsy sellers went on strike apparently in 2022. And bravo for these people. And I remember this happening. Well, this was just last year. I, too, was one of the people. But I didn't say anything to Etsy because they never get back with me on anything. So I was like, what is the point? That's what a lot of us do, right? Because we got to keep going. We got to keep trying to keep that roof over our heads or help. And help with, keeping food on the plate. And, for crying out loud, I needed to make an indoor fountain last summer. So, there is that too. So it's not all just, there are other things that are going on, and trips that have to be taken, people that have to be cared for. So here we have this, and CNBC wrote an article on it. I'd also found a number, by the way. I think it's up here. Yeah, that's how I started my search. This is all I was searching for. And I feel like calling them right now, calling this number and see if it, should we? Should we call this number and see if it works? Because there was something that I saw, After the other stuff I read, though, after I found this, I'll bet you no one's answering that number. Because before I call, I'll just tell you, after I did this, I read the CNBC article and found out about this lady that did a Reddit post and got 77,000 signers when they hiked up their Etsy fees, even though they were making more money than ever Etsy was. Because you know what happened after the, what shall we call it, the Rona? After the Rona, which kept changing names, and there were Corona satellites. I've done some threads on that, but let's not get me slammed again from an email for telling people what's really going on. But anyhow, from the Rona, from the pandemic, which, some people call it a pandemic with an L, PL. All right. They made a lot more. And see, there were some good things to that, because some people, they were scrambling. Not that they had to scramble was good, but in a way it was nice that they saw that, hey, maybe I'm not happy working this certain job. Maybe I'm not happy with whatever it be, this office job, this cashier job, this in a cubby job. And maybe I can, turn my passion into a home business, or maybe I can be at home more, even if it's not the passion, but maybe run a small business, whether it be on eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Etsy. If I can, do this, then I can spend more time with the family, or I can have time to do and pursue more of the things that I want to. So that was a plus side to a negative, wasn't it? Or what? Yeah, just leave it like that. So, as far as the other information, after I read that article, because she's actually trying to start, thinking about starting a union. She's got people go, they did a Discord, so you can go over there and look and see. Her name is Cassidy. I'll show you a little bit about that article after I show you the rest of this stuff. So after I see that, all right, forming a union after going on strike. They went on strike for a period. I could not go on the strike. I was just always trying to build back up, because you're also always, it's not just the funding to pay your bills. It's you're not as prevalent in SEO or search engine optimization for their platform if you have had to put your shop on vacation or close it for a period, because I also had to help out other family members during other periods when sickness ensued. All right. So I was always just trying to catch my breath again. And you know how that goes. Otherwise, I would have definitely been there. Definitely. But as I'm going and looking down, I find this. And this is what I'm like, how? I had inklings when I saw some of the stuff they were saying on my account as to why they weren't giving it to me, but I knew. This is where you should listen to your gut instinct. I knew there was something wrong. Like, even with them allowing people to target me, I knew the fact that a business generally goes by, are they performing well? you know, are they consistent? And I was. Are the customers happy? And I have pages and pages and pages of happy. Let me see if I can show you. And then I'll show you this article. Oh my goodness, this article, it's crazy. Okay, now I am going to say that, yes, I'm a super hard worker. But this is more of a testament to the fact that I do have some really terrific customers. And I say that for numerous reasons, not just because they said nice things, which is oh so helpful, but no, I purchase things. And I'll be honest, I don't always take the time, and I do feel bad. I feel bad while I'm saying it, and I feel bad when I think about it. I do not always take the time to go and leave a review, and it's not because I don't appreciate it. I never, ever leave a bad review. I always, if there is any issue that might need to be resolved, I always contact the customer, and that rarely happens. That hardly ever happens. Maybe if there's just some mistake made in sending the wrong inventory or something, but I never leave a negative review. I don't leave the good ones as often. I do sometimes, but this is why I'm saying it's a testament to some good people out there that they will literally take the time. I don't know how some people find the time, because I just always need more time. I don't know about you. I've got like 50 million tabs open again because I need more time to deal with all of these projects and articles. Okay, so you can see. All right. And no. If you find where I'm at, do not buy from me. Please don't. I like to sell. To these people that I don't know that are buying gifts, whether it be for their mother and wife or their I'm sure this rarely goes on, okay? There's only been a few cases where it looks pretty fishy to me. um, but, the wife and the girlfriend. At any rate, it's just more for joking than anything else is why I say that. I know I'm a terrible person. I'm terrible. So my point is, we're not going to sit here and read all these, even though this makes me feel a lot better after what Etsy does to me. But this is why are you doing this to me? Etsy, why? And I love her picture. She's cute. She's cute. I love all the pictures. People will send pictures of it on no. Okay, let me see if I can get to like another page so that you can see the pages. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. 88 pages. And yes, there are a few, and I will say very, very few that are negative. And I can verify this. Let me pause this so that I can get to the top and then just try to show how many. It's, the max stars you can have for all of your reviews is 5. So, and now we can see. All right. I've been selling a long time, and this number would be larger if I mass produced or, just sold smaller, tinier things. But I sell different price points, yes, because that's important in business. And I realized after I got my degree, in education, that I should have gotten a business degree. But no, I did not. But I do understand the various price point thing, and of course, me being a working class person, I used to not sell super expensive products, although my signs that I do, because of the expense of the copper and the wood and stains and everything else involved, my fuel, my workshop supplies. Those were always over $100. And for me, I was like, will anyone buy this? I come from that point of view because I've always been a mom. So we were just, always trying to live frugally, like frugal minded. And I'm just going to be honest, I've always said that I would not buy from me. I don't do a very good job selling myself, do I? I would not buy from me because I don't generally buy luxury items. Great Christmas gift for me on my list that I would tell someone to purchase me, like if they were going to buy me something nice, they were already getting me something and they would ask me, I'd be like, get me a vacuum. I want a Dyson. One time I wanted a Dyson, which to me was like luxury vacuum. Okay. And it really was. To me, it was super expensive because I was used to spending, at that time, under $100 for a vacuum. And I expected that doggone vacuum to last for practically a lifetime. As a matter of fact, I got a Shark. We've been through several vacuums because the poor hose on the Dyson broke, but we still have it, by golly, we still have it because it was a luxury gift for me. But there was a Shark where I bought one time, and this was through my business. I purchased things for the household through my business at times in the past. Not so much now. Now I'm just like, but it was a Shark, and they offered, and I usually don't take stuff like this, a lifetime guarantee for the parts. And I was like, well, by golly, if I never have to buy a doggone vacuum again, I'm signing up for that. And I did. And do you know how many times we've had to redo the head on that vacuum? But we still have it. All right, we still have it. Now, was it picking up as well even after getting the new head? Well, for a period, yes, but we have another vacuum. Okay, I'm just going to say we have about 3 vacuums in my house. All right, but that one where I bought the deal where you could get the parts, it's a hassle. You have to get on the phone. They troubleshoot with you. For crying out loud, we know this vacuum forwards and backwards. Now we can just be like, send us this part, and we can give them like the part number. And trust me, just send it. Don't put yourself through this torture, because they'll sit there on the phone, make you take pictures. You're like, I'm sure you have to Zoom them now or something. It's crazy, all for this vacuum. And I've taken it apart too. I did that when I cleaned my workshop. I took it apart. It's the hair. My girls and I have a lot of hair, and it's usually long, and it's everywhere in the house. So that doggone roller. And then my daughter still complained that their hair is so thick. And I don't know how it's that thick because there's a lot of hair in that roller. But it's from all of us. So, yeah, I used to cut it out, but now I know how to take the whole doggone thing apart, the whole bleeming thing, and it's a beautiful thing. So I don't know why I'm talking about that, but I would not buy this stuff from me if I were me because, I love jewelry, or I wouldn't make it, but I don't wear a ton of it. I do like pretties and things like that, but, whatever. So I have to make a living. And I just think it's nice that they take the time to leave me reviews. And I love rebuilding the watches. I really, really love it. Although it's very aggravating at times. I'm not going to lie. It's super aggravating at times. Like today, I couldn't get this one. It's like making me mad. It's like I've held the energy in my hands and in my feelings because I couldn't get it back on. It was an old antique ball and it just wouldn't close properly. And you have to be so careful because if you prod and poke too much, you are going to break something and then you're going to have to start all over. But anyhow, that's enough of that. I wanted you to see the five right there. Okay. Do not come over here. All right, I want to make that clear. So the nasty people that used to leave me comments way back in the vote days, thinking that I was going to sell merch when I clearly wasn't, don't come here and tell me that. I have requested that people don't, all right? I'm not even going to be here forever. I'm trying to move stuff over after all of this. But here's the deal right here. I'm going to read this article to you. SVB collapse. this is what I saw. And I was like, oh my gosh. My intuition kept telling me that there was something wrong. And then I'd even had the inkling of, what if, because this doesn't make sense, they're doing this to someone like me who's been with them for so long, that's done nothing but brag and boast about them and brought people over to the platform. As a matter of fact, I used to sell far more on eBay. I'm just going to tell you, I had a shop set up on eBay. For a while, I did them simultaneously, eBay and Etsy. Ran it, family business, told everybody family business. People buy from me because they buy birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. Some of the people have had me design things for themselves. Some people buy things for themselves. But the reason a site like mine exists is because there are people that will buy, that do want things besides vacuums and new torches and vices. One year I got a vice for my workshop, and I cannot tell you how excited I was, but I need to stay on target because I would literally tell you about every tool in my workshop and take you down there and show it to you because it's super exciting. But at any rate, not everybody wants a vice. Not everybody wants to go to Lowe's and stare at the hammers, I found out. A lot of people buy jewelry for gifts, and it dawned on me, that is a great idea, because it's small. It doesn't take up a bunch of room. You're not someone like me that always seems to end up with, after, your kids start getting older, too much stuff. And it's not always just their stuff, honestly, okay? Plenty of times it's my stuff. Maybe I have started too many projects and it's stuff. But jewelry, no, it's small. So if you end up with too much jewelry, it's not taking up as much space as the stuff. Plus, most of the time it's going to be appreciated. It's useful. They don't just have to sit it on a shelf like a knickknack. Not that knickknacks are bad. People who have collections, that's great. If you want them. I have some JFK coins, so I get it, but they're actually not in a china cabinet or anything. Where would I have the room? They're in a box, but you know what I'm saying. Some of us have coin, and if you have those kinds of coins, make sure you get the kind that have the silver in them and from before which year. But anyhow, back on target. So I kept thinking, there's got to be something wrong. What if they're doing this to more people? And then lo and behold, I come across this article today, and it says, Etsy hit by bank shutdown. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they have no liquidity. They're just saying that's why they're doing this, but they actually did have to do this. I kept thinking, 45 days? Who does this? They know that most of these people are small. And they're trying to, people like me, I make stuff as the orders come in. I don't always have it made. I do place some product in a small boutique brick and mortar store. I don't own that store, obviously. The owner was, she and I negotiated for me to be able to do that years ago. So I do send product there at times. But other than me making for that and sometimes having products made for times when I've done art shows, I'm generally making those products that people order that I have designed. And I've created a lot of things as they come in. So I don't have a bank giving me funds, I just don't. So, yeah. This was wild. The number of companies and investors who had accounts at Silicon Valley continue to be revealed. Countless companies and investors have disclosed that they had accounts at Silicon Valley Bank, the failed financial institution that was shuttered by a regulator. Now, we've all talked about this. I haven't focused on it a ton, but I've done a thread about this and some other interesting things, right? On my Facebook, I will show you really, really fast, and then we will get right back over here. Okay, so I wanted to do a report about this, and anyone who wonders why I'm not doing them, it's not because I don't want to. I so wish I could share all this stuff with you because I still do threads and I do articles. Most of my articles are on physics-related things, and honestly, I wish I could share it all. I just run out of time, and you can see why. Not just the Simpsons episode. Many see as prophetic. No, literally a Simpson resided at the top. Check it. Did you know that Ish, I-S-H, which is interesting because My girls, when they were little, we had a fish that was named Ish. And I had named that fish Ish, or encouraged them to name it Ish because Dr. Seuss. I taught my girls to read before they were in school, well before they were in school. They read at very young ages, played piano at young ages. So, Ish, that meant something to me. Ish Simpson, Chief of Staff, Office of the President of Silicon Valley Bank. Simpson was an investment banking summer associate for none other than Morgan Stanley. Yes, that Morgan Stanley, where there was an alleged boast that Epstein had J.P. Morgan, had his desk in his Manhattan mansion. So you see the tie-in as to why I am putting my archives in to that article where I had covered Bill Clinton in that painting of the Manhattan mansion of Epstein, because Epstein had a ranch in New Mexico. I'm just going to talk really fast because all of this connects. I know the awake see it. If the normies don't understand, this is how. Pay attention really quick. I used to live in New Mexico. I was born in Albuquerque. I used to visit my grandparents there when my parents lived in other states. My father met my mother when he was stationed in the Army. He drove for a general in Albuquerque, where I was born. My father worked at Sandia Laboratory. So prior to this thread, I had done a thread on the energy that has been produced, the nuclear energy, and the strides they've made, and the laboratories where both my grandfather and other family members worked, and my mentors for a certain school that I went to worked at, were mentioned in that article. Really great people. And that's all I can say. So, yes, that J.P. Morgan, who was supposed to be on the Titanic. I also went to school and worked for a university in Albuquerque. It had ties with Santa Fe. I used to make that trip quite often. We visited a lot of reservations when I was doing my internship. There's a lot of land there in that area where Epstein was stationed. I have done articles on the tunnels, Trementina Base, that is located not too terribly far from Epstein's mansion. And I've given all the breakdowns for all of that, but that is why all of this means something to me. Okay, so don't mean to talk in a monotone. It's just like a lot of information to like put out there at once as to why this connects. And even though the hateful people in my family think that I am just insane and a conspiracy theorist, I am not. So they can think what they want to. They can stay in their realm, and I am staying in mine. So, yes, that J.P. Morgan, who was supposed to be on the Titanic, but only sent some of his belongings and was not on the ship that fateful day that took all of his enemies out. Simpson has a BA. Ish Simpson has a BA in communication from Stanford. Yes, that Stanford, the one who was a catalyst for the mother of all demos, dawn of the mainframe. I covered that article on my Steemit before, and all of the information related to the mother of all demos. And I probably can't say his name right now, but someone's background that was also tied to Stanford, and I'll just leave it at that. I can probably put this in the description on BitChute and Rumble, but I probably will have that name caught if I say it by the scrubbing AI. So, yes, that Stanford, which furthered Herbert Hoover, who was said to be an orphan, so given a scholarship at Stanford, then went into mining all over the world and had a hand in the underground of Disney. As far as Herbert Hoover, in that Stanford article I had done, in regards to the man that I cannot mention, that Stanford also has what is a protected trust. Always be leery of protected trusts, because trusts are generally the controllers making sure they keep track of the funds and that nobody else gets access to them while they get to do whatever they want to under the cloak of it's a trust. So this one changed names a few times, but Herbert Hoover was on that trust, and then they made sure that he became president so that they could link up the West and East Coast. So you guys know what I'm saying. As far as Herbert Hoover and his mining operations, I did an article of this on mines. I am under testing the narrative on mines. This article is there, and it goes in depth as to which mines he went to. What is literally beneath people's feet who are not awake yet, it is mind-blowing how all of this connects. But I grant you, every single thing does connect, and there will be more glitches in the matrix, and there will be more of this house of cards around us with the banking industry and other industries that continue to fall and tumble. So, yes, that Disney, which has its own district. I've covered this before. Reedy Creek District, the district. Hunger Games, much exposure of the haves and the have-nots. You decide. Simpson was a member of the Guardsmen, an all-male volunteer organization that raises money to send at-risk youths to summer camp and to provide them with scholarships. Simpson was a coach. And promoted to assistant athletic director for Pop Warner Youth Football, Inc. I'm not saying there's anything bad about that. I'm just mentioning the connections he had. That is it. All right. So Simpson, known for helping climate change tech startups. Have you seen all the money involved? Someone's making money, but why hasn't the problem been solved? You decide. Simpson has sent a slap cancer, Mr. Marina, 2013. I'm sorry, he's been a slap cancer, Mr. Marina, 2013. Marina coach slap cancer. Okay, I believe I put that a couple times, but you get the idea. Now, I do want to tell you that this whole cancer thing, at the top of some of these industries, they're not really giving all their money to, the fastest way I can put it is actually helping the people who have cancer. You should always check out as to whether most of their money is going to administrative costs. Because when you start asking them, and if they're honest with you, many of these big organizations that take donations and money, they're going for administrative costs. This is a way that some of these organizations funnel money right back into what they want done, their programs, and then it ends up being funneled back into the pockets of only they and those that support them, and vice versa. So you start asking, we've got all these organizations and charities for hunger. Why is there still world hunger? But Bill Gates has how many planes and how many mansions and how much wealth that he's claiming to give away, but it's going right back into the organizations that he funds. How about all these elites, all of these famous celebrities that say that, oh, we care about hunger. We're going over here and helping these people. Then why are there still hungry people there? Great for you if you're helping that particular group of people. Okay, I'm glad. But what I'm saying is, how come you all you haves with all your mansions, haven't sold off some of those mansions and dealt with the hunger problem? Start making a big dent in the hunger problem, even here at home, where some of these celebrities live in the same states. I know there are people on the streets suffering. Get out there. How about that? Get out there. Don't just say, oh, I've given to this organization. Well, how come they haven't solved the hunger issue then? Right? Right? Okay, so I didn't mean to rant about that, but first and foremost, as I meet people on the street and see their dilemma daily, yet wealthy people around them. What? That's mind-blowing, right? Just mind-blowing. So, Richard Branson is just one of this Ish Simpson's influencers. Let me show you what I'm talking about without just reading what I say. Let me just show you. Okay, here he is, Ish Simpson, Chief of Staff. No, how do I? These people are so nice, but no. Okay. This will show you why, like, I can't even, like, check. I just don't, clearly time-wise, and then I just have to keep working. Like my private messages on Facebook, this is why I don't do them anymore. It's not because I don't want to. It's not because I don't want to answer questions. When people have questions, they have to put it in one of my Facebook posts, and then at some point I'll see it, because the truth is am not always able to even go to my notifications and sort those out, or go. I wish I could. It's not that I don't want to be more personable, but if I happen to see it when I'm attending to things, doing a new thread, or just attending to things on Facebook, I do my best to answer as many of those questions as I can. And I also like that it's out in the open and transparent for everyone to see, because 9 times out of 10, somebody else has the same question and they've just not either had the time to ask it or they don't have the courage to ask it. So that's why I do it that way. All right, so for this, Chief of Staff, you can see who I'm talking about. This is him. You can see it right here. So these are not just mere words. Stanford University, Silicon Valley Bank. My specialties are, and he gives them, okay, so then you can see. But why am I telling you this? Okay, well, number one, the Simpsons episode that was in the thread. You guys have seen it if you've been on Twitter. I was suspended on Twitter, years and years ago. So, yeah, I've still covered their stories, right? As far as, thank you, Elon, for exposing some of the trafficking. So I'll leave it at that, because I probably can't say much on here. I covered all of that in my other articles and probably a report. At any rate, this is what I want to show you, though, because when we have taken and aggregate social media content, a tell is always who their interests are. Look at here. Now, of course, he's in this article. He had somebody in my family was telling me about this, and then I read it in the article, something about a discount drug company that was associated with his bank, all right? But let's look at who else is here. Oh, interesting. Martha Stewart, Jonah Berger, Nancy Duarte, Tony Robbins, Guy Kawasaki, Charles Duhigg, Mark Cuban, John Hope Bryant, Adam Grant, Carla Harris. There we go. Richard Branson. All right. Now, I've covered him many times in relation to a governor that was in New Mexico whose name was Bill Richardson, who also had been involved in the laboratory where some of my mentors came from. Bill Richardson was governor when there were some purported lab secrets that leaked, okay? And these lab secrets always have to do with national security, because they are working on what is classified as weaponry because of the nuclear aspect, right? Plus, this was where the atomic bomb was built. They had a big role in that. So, interesting, right? Now, let's go right back over here. Anytime would be great. All right. So then, many of you, okay, so Richard Branson, just one of his influencers. Yes, that Richard Branson. Remember, he was Epstein's island neighbor, Necker Island. Why is this doing this? No, I'm not wanting there. No, I'm not. And everything's so slow right now, probably because I decided to do a report. Everything was moving along just fine. Okay, that's fun right there. That's fun, because I had one break, okay? So, I'm sorry, you guys get to see all this crazy stuff. So, yeah, Facebook, let's go. Anyhow, Richard Branson was Epstein's island neighbor, Necker. And when I covered the NXIVM story, that cult that was branding the women with Allison, Max, brand the A and the R together, and she acted like she was in love with him. I mean, I showed all those videos, and poor thing, she was preyed upon also. But once she understood what was going on, she really should have stood up for herself and the others, especially the others, because there were some very young ones involved, and he even started a preschool. I've covered all this before. It was alleged that little boy he started the preschool for was his son, but alleged. All right. So, I probably missed people's birthday. This is the other thing. I feel really bad that I don't always get the birthdays, and I want to, because people are so nice to me. Like, so many great people said happy birthday to me, and I was just thinking, probably missed a bunch of these birthdays, and I feel like a heel, but, that's me. Now all the hateful will be like, see, such a despicable person. Loathsome. Didn't that one girl say in her threatening email, loathsome? What in the world? Okay, I feel like we can't even finish doing that thread. You get the idea, though. Richard Branson, Epstein, Necker Island. They had a party for these Nexium people. We got the photographs of this. And then he's also, oh, that's so cute. Oh, there's he did Chloe. So cute. Is that his kitty? I'll bet that's his kitty. Here is my version of Chloe. This is so cute. Does look a lot like Chloe. Okay, he probably saw my footage because I do have social media for but I keep it separate from my Facebook, my Instagram. I mean, I don't have an advertising budget, okay? So I have to go. I told you I am a scrambler. I have to go like Pinterest and Instagram. And I tell other people that small businesses, oh, do you have these platforms? Because this can help you. You know, maybe you'll be rich someday. I don't want to discount that, right? Dream big. But, I'm always just in the frugal, reality-minded mindset. And it's like, this will help you, get sales so you can pay your bills. And now look at me. I don't want to say that because I don't want to manifest it, but I'm paying them. But, it's a little scary sometimes, but I try not to give in to fear, right? Don't give in to fear. That's not what we're about. All right, now, because that won't help you. Giving in to fear. There's no more fear. No more fear. I mean, that's what I have put out on my Facebook forever, right? No fear, no more. No more. God said over and over, fear not. So, and honestly, if this is not my gig anymore, as far as making stuff, I doubt I'm going to cry, okay? I doubt I'm going to cry, even though I just started a new line in the midst of all this because I didn't know this was going to happen, right? And I'm like, taking gears apart and reworking watches and all this great stuff. And I love the history of them. I love the history of time, and time isn't what people really think it's space. So I love everything about it. But if this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, then I won't be heartbroken if I need to veer and pivot, right? I won't be, but I just need to know what it's going to be because, all the rest of my stuff that I do, which is a lot, like many of you, is just volunteer basis. So it is not paying those bills. And I would be plumb fine if there were no bills. Like, I have even talked with my people that I meet on the street, and I'm like, you know what? I see why this feels freeing because anyhow, that is for another video. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Probably because my family, is not going to want to listen to me talk about this Etsy thing because I'm a bit much for them, right? At times. So, okay. Anyhow, went into the Ripple thing, the initiation title of that one file that was associated with escrow execution that had that certain timestamp. You guys will remember this. This is what I did the story on. This is what I put my archives in that I was telling you about for Etsy. Do you remember the painting in Epstein's mansion of Bill Clinton in the blue dress? Of course you remember. Now think about it. There was a certain file I told you about a few years ago. It was associated with XRP under Ripple. It was called escrow execution with a timestamp. The initiation title was Bill Clinton's Secret. Okay, so then I went into talking about that and then reminding people, think Ripple effect. Sequence number was 13, which is classic. You can guess what the escrow amount was. Okay, of course, that was what, 1 million XRP. Now, if whether you know or if you are left wondering what in the world is going on, click on these Facebook photo frames for verification, and then there's full sources and footage. And then I get down into it, but I'm not going to do that now. But you can click on these, and then when you click on these, you're going to get a lot of times in the columns, like the footage of the Simpson thing, anything that I might have covered in relation, and I better get off of that real quick. All right, so let's go back here, and then I'm going to let you go after I finish reading this article, because this article was doggone interesting. I was like, whoa. So I felt like I should have been on top of this. But do I tune into the news every day? Absolutely not. I don't have time. And it's usually sending bad frequencies, not giving us all the truth. So I do read a lot. That's why I'm shocked that somehow I missed this. But it's probably because I have so much going on, like many of you. But I'll bet you some of you knew about this. And if you didn't, watch. This is crazy. So Cuban was talking. He says he has an exposure between 8 million and 10 million to this bank that had a closure. It was closed after a massive run on the bank. I'm only exposed to maybe 8 to 10 million, the Shark Tank star said during a Twitter Spaces on March 11th. Cost plus drugs, that's what it is. Deals with SVB. So we had, I think, 3.1 million there. Cost plus drugs is and then they go on and describe it, yada yada. I'm not here to do an advertisement, but if you want to read the advertisement that is done in the street for him, it's right there. Numerous non-tech companies were also affected when the FDIC took over Silicon Valley Bank on March 10th after a run on its deposits after losing 1.8 billion on bond investments and failing to attract new capital to shore up its liquidity. That's what I kept thinking when I saw Etsy's name. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's like it all came together at once. It's like puzzle pieces all together as to why they might have done this. And then me thinking, why in the world didn't they just tell us? Especially people like me who have been with them for so long. Why weren't they honest with us? Why did they pretend that, oh, we're keeping your funds, which is unfair, which feels like a punishment when we've done nothing wrong. Like, I send out my stuff with tracking every time. I've been doing it all along. Since I got back, I started really booming because I need to pay my bills after these trips, especially, right? I mean, things were stagnant for a while after these trips of trying to help people. I was sending out like crazy, you know. It's like selling yourself. Instagram post. Even set back up on Pinterest, which I had let lie dormant for a long time because of other projects going on. So I pumped that right back up and got that thing going. And, you know, I mean, I'm doing videos, I'm doing all of this stuff, and I love to talk to people. But, you know, it takes a lot. Even when you're doing just the short ones and the ones that I don't have time to edit, it takes a lot to do those. So it's like, I'm working, I'm busting it, and I'm getting sales, but no money coming in. So I'm like, what's Etsy doing with my money? I finally just start telling people around the house, what are they? Well, I don't know. So then we start poking around and we see what they're saying about why they're not dumping it in. I'm like, what? I'm not new. I'm not a new seller. I've been here since 2011. Anyhow, let's finish reading this. Etsy suspends deposits. No kidding. Vox Media, which publishes The Verge, SB Nation, Recode, and New York Magazine had a substantial concentration of cash at Silicon Valley Bank, a source told the New York Times. A request for comment from Vox Media and Penske Media, its largest shareholder who owns Variety, Billboard, and Rolling Stone, were not immediately returned. Penske Media said in a statement that it was prepared if Vox Media needed a capital for its operations, but did not expect there to be any problems, according to the New York Times. Since the FDIC only insures $250,000 in deposits, customers at SVB are worried about the rest of the cash held at the bank, since dozens of companies said they were not able to process their payroll on March 10 or transfer their money into another bank. Now, this has been going on with Etsy long before this. So, e-commerce company Etsy, which sells products made by its customers, sent out an email stating that scheduled deposits would be halted. They never, ever, and I have verification, but I'll spare you, sent me any message like that at all. Just all of a sudden, I wasn't getting deposits. Then on my payment account information under my finances on my, shall we call it, dashboard for a seller, since I'm not just a customer, I am a seller, it gave that information that I showed you, where Oh, we're hanging on to the money. This is, and then when it'd be like, well, why, this is happening because either you're a new seller or they're basically listing things like not sending out tracking with your orders. And I have that verified. Etsy can see it all. It's obvious I send out all of my stuff on time. Plus they see all the emails. As soon as I do a shipping label on time, sometimes early, that information is directly sent to a customer. I have the option of putting a little note in, which I do every single time. I put in the customer's name. I put in what they are receiving. I give them well wishes, that kind of fun stuff, because I care about my customers and I want to communicate with them and let them know and give them, an update on, hey, here's your tracking. This has literally gone out, so there was no reason. Why weren't they honest with me? It says this delay was caused by the recent developments regarding Silicon Valley Bank, said the email to Etsy sellers. Why didn't I receive an email? I have done nothing wrong. I've been with them forever. I helped build them. I was talking about them before they were ever popular. I was telling people that were on eBay that were complaining back in the day. They're not complaining now, but back in the day, oh, it's so hard to sell my hand because, we're competing with these other markets where they get a bigger break for, let's say, taxes and shipping. It's the only way I can put it, right? And it was hard for them. And I have felt bad for countless moms who wanted to do what I did, where they still needed some sort of income to help support their family, but they wanted to be the ones in charge of rearing their children, or even homeschooling at times, or being there for the kids to, help raise them and not just dishing them off to someone else or daycare or what have you. Okay. So I would try to lead them over to Etsy. Why didn't they tell me? I don't know. So they're saying they sent this email out, but I didn't get it. So that's what's weird. We are working with our other payment partners to issue your deposit as soon as possible. Streaming company Roku. See, they still hadn't told me that. Even when I wrote them that email today, I've gotten no information, even in their little automated messages, that, hey, this is what really happened. Instead, it's almost like they're punishing us, and they're not upfront, at least with people like me. I would be curious to know if anybody watches this that is with Etsy and what their experience is. So, streaming company Roku disclosed on Friday that it has 26% of its total cash and cash equivalents at Silicon Valley Bank, which was shut down by the FDIC. Roku said it had $487 million of cash out of a total of $1.9 billion in uninsured deposits. All right. Then crypto firm Circle has $3.3 billion locked. Crypto firm Circle, which is the issuer of cryptocurrency, had $3.3 billion in the failed bank, while bankrupt crypto lender BlockFi had left $227 million via a money market mutual fund, the U.S. trustee wrote in a court filing on March 10th. So see, this court filing just recently happened. Space company Rocket Lab USA said in an SEC filing that it had $38 million in cash, or 7.9 of its cash, as of December 31st with SVB. The company made no other comments in the filing. Roblox, a gaming platform company, said 5% of its $3 billion was at the failed bank. Video platform company Vimeo said its account balance was under the $250,000 threshold. Therefore, the company believes it does not have exposure to any liquidity concern at SVB, the company said in a filing. Sports streaming company Fubo said it does not hold any deposit at SVB or have any other direct investment at SVB. Then there were some other places. A Boston-based middle market real estate and forestry management company, Landvest, is one of the thousands of non-tech businesses whose accounts were impacted by the failure of SVB. It was well known among venture capitalists and the tech companies they funded. The bank had also acquired Boston Private Bank and Trust Company in 2021. These clients range from small to medium-sized companies and nonprofit organizations. Right there. That's the other thing that caught my eye. So, as the house of cards fall, are more and more people going to catch on to what these nonprofit organizations, some of them, I cannot say all, many of them I have broken down and shown people, but What's really going on? Makes you wonder. For the past 40 years, LandVest banked with Boston Private and stayed with the bank after SVB acquired it. Joseph Taggart, president of LandVest, told The Street LandVest's office was next door to Boston Private's headquarters. Taggart said he was able to transfer some of the company's cash from SVB to one of its existing bank accounts on March 9th, but the company did not transfer all of its cash to another bank because they were planning to do payroll on March 10th. There were a lot of accounts that we had to leave active because we are transacting business all the time for vendors or payroll, he said. We had to sit and cross our fingers and see if the transaction would go through. Made me wonder why Etsy wasn't honest with us when this was happening with them. Other companies were not so fortunate, and their business was impacted by the closure of SVB. Parker Conrad, CEO at Rippling, a payroll processing company, said in a tweet they were not able to service payroll for their clients on March 10th. Elizabeth Yin, co-founder of Hustle Fund, a VC fund that invests in pre-seed software startups, said a number of the founders were not able to make payroll on March 10th either. A number of founders whose wires were blocked and have more than $250K in their SVB accounts are worried about making payroll today. Next week and beyond, she tweeted, a lot of them are willing to take zero salary personally, but it's the employees and contractors who will be disproportionately affected. New York toy company Camp took a creative and unusual route to generate more sales since the company's CEO, Ben Kaufman, sent out an email to its customers seeking help. He made light of a serious situation and told customers to use the promo code BANKRUN. Now, I would much prefer Etsy had been totally honest with us. I suppose they thought that so many people, not just that they're asleep, but so many of us who are working class, we are, just in it, like constantly working. So they probably thought that so engaged, not going to find out. But you would literally have to be under a rock not to hear it from someone else, even if you're someone like me who does not watch the news consistently. Although I do read articles plenty of times, and I knew about this bank issue. I had no idea Etsy was connected. None. The company said in an email that most of its cash was held at SVB and that revenue from purchases would be deposited at Chase. So, very interesting. Written by Ellen Chang. All right. Lastly, let's just show you guys. I wish I could call them right now. Maybe I'll do that at the end. That way you guys can leave if you want to. I'm so tempted to call them right on camera to see if anybody picks up. I would think they definitely wouldn't pick up right now. They're going through all of this. All right, so let's look at, I wanted to show you guys because it was very interesting. I'm just going to read a snippet of this. This is the Etsy seller that did the interview with CNBC and spoke out, and she didn't know from the article, she didn't know there were others that felt like her, but she knew she should talk out. Okay, this is when they were on the strike last year. In late February, Christy Cassidy logged onto Reddit and made a call to action to people who sell their goods on Etsy. Okay, a day earlier, Etsy had announced it was hiking fees by 30%, and I remember all of this. Not necessarily a strike. I remember being frustrated, like I said before. Here, it's hard to make a profit already because you got to buy your supplies. Your time, you're really not getting compensated for your time many times. And then, of course, you have merchant fees and other fees, and she probably mentions this. And then they're hiking their fees even more by 30% for Cassidy, a seller of Gothic wedding dresses on the e-commerce platform. Since 2006, the decision felt like an insult to small businesses who kept the site humming throughout the pandemic by selling their goods. I wonder what would happen if on April 11th, so many sellers put their shops on vacation mode. Okay, so then, the whole, and good for them taking a stand. She got well over 77,000 signatures by Thursday evening. It looks like, she started talking about it by maybe on Monday. So Etsy has 5.3 million active sellers on its platform, according to the company's website. It's probably could be more or less now. I don't know. I haven't checked. But the fee increase comes on the heels of a tremendous growth period for Etsy. The company was a big winner during the COVID pandemic. Now, this is in CNBC. Keep in mind, YouTube AI scrubbers. This is on CNBC states that this was during the COVID pandemic as consumers cut trips to the store and flocked to online retailers. Etsy sellers generated gross merchandise sales of $12.2 billion in 2021 compared with $5 billion in 2019. So a huge hike, right? You would think they could, start up a customer service team. Etsy, which is known for its handmade and personalized goods, initially saw an influx of shoppers looking for face masks. Now, Etsy is trying to keep them coming back to the site while competing with other e-commerce players like Amazon and eBay. Etsy told investors in February that additional revenue from the fee increase will be reinvested back into various initiatives at the company. Where is it going? Because I see other people online complaining about Etsy's customer service, that there's no help, there's no way to contact them really. So that must mean that they don't get back with other people, right? So Raina Moskowitz, Etsy's chief operating officer, said the company is committed to supporting sellers and helping them grow their businesses. It just sounds like we're just getting more fees put on our back, but without help. But okay, we are always receptive to seller feedback. What? They don't even respond. And in fact, the new fee structure will enable us to increase our investments in areas outlined in the petition, including, this just sounds like happy talk, including marketing and customer support and removing listings that don't meet our policies, Moskowitz stated in a statement. Investors and analysts who track the company applauded. Of course they did. What? More money for us greedy people? Yay, yay, yay. I know, there have to be investors and yada, yada. And I'm sure maybe there are some good investors, okay? I'm sure some of them are good, but plenty of them are greedy. Oh my goodness. And that's all they care. That's the bottom line. It's like follow the money. That's the bottom line. They're not thinking long term. And if you don't have a foundation whose backs you built a company on, then you are going to be like a house of cards. Investors and analysts who track the company applauded the fee increase and other recent changes. Guggenheim analyst Seth Sigman acknowledged sellers are likely bearing the brunt of higher costs. You think? But that the changes should ultimately benefit, in quotes, everyone on the platform long term. Well, how long are we talking, Seth Sigman? Because so far, we're not getting anywhere. We're just bleeding money while y'all are, well, that's right. I guess you're having some troubles too now with the whole bank problem. You could be honest, though. So, we appreciate, more legalese talk. We appreciate the concerns of the sellers. This is their livelihood, said Segment, who recommends buying Etsy shares. Seriously? Because y'all just had a problem. I don't know about buying Etsy shares. You know what? Y'all should have stayed small. Small. Instead of going public. You were so much better before you went public and had to give an answer to money people over quality content, the makers, the backbone, the foundation of your platform. But the offset is the company is using this as a lever to reinvest back into the business. Our view is that it should ultimately lead to stronger market share gains. So far, nothing for the sellers. Rising fees and resellers. Cassidy and other Etsy sellers interviewed by CNBC said they remain skeptical of whether the fee increase will translate to improvements on the platform. The company last raised transaction fees in 2018 from 3.5% to 5%, and the payoff has been minimal, Cassidy said. On top of transaction fees, Etsy sellers also have to pay, which is true, always been like this, listing fees, payment processing fees, and shipping fees. As part of the company's off-site ads program, Etsy sellers are also charged an additional. This blew me away because I kept going before this latest thing happened, this big thing happened where I'm just not getting hardly any of the money at all. It's like, why are they taking this big percent when I'm the one that's going over here and, selling myself, my product, whatever, on Instagram and on Pinterest and places of that nature. But yet, they're constantly, and then it's because they'll claim all the time, this sale came from one of our ads. And perhaps it did, but really? Aren't we paying you to, that's what they used to say is, Well, part of your fees go into the fact that Etsy's a big platform and much bigger than you small little people. And you can't advertise yourself a lot, but we're big and we gonna be advertising for the whole Etsy site. But now they figured out a way to put more on our backs. This big old company that made how many? What was their jump? Their hike? I know, it sounds like I don't know. This is just all weird for me, but this is how it is. This is reality. 12.2 billion. 12.2 billion. Etsy doesn't make its own product. What? They don't even get a customer support team with all the fees they charge us. But they made 12.2 billion. That was their gross merchandise sales. And prior to that, it was 5 billion. Well, that's honestly, a lot more than I have, like almost 5 billion more than I have, honestly. This is a lot more money than I have. All right, but they can't get a customer support team? Really? I don't know. She says the recent transaction fee increase, along with other fees, has made it harder for smaller creators to turn a profit and make their business sustainable. Oh, this is someone else. I'm sorry. Marie Hart, who sells pins, charms, and art on her Etsy shop. I do think it's nice that CNBC lets you go visit her Etsy shop. Let's shop for a second. Let's see what she has. If you want to buy a little jewelry, go right on over here. This is Kitty Gorian's shop. So, there we go. Oh, look at that. Rainy day enamel mug with rain. Oh, cute. Cute, cute, cute. Okay. So, also some sticky notes. Love sticky notes. Oh, look, that's cute. Toe Bean Cafe's Biscuit Cappuccino. That's awesome. Right there. That's some awesome stuff, okay? So, all right. I think it's very nice. They did that. She's got, look there, 1,305 sales from Atlanta, Georgia. And good job, Kitty Gorian shop. Very nice. Rave reviews. History of replying to messages quickly. And look there. You can visit her here at kittygorian.com. All right, now going right back here. So, as part of the week-long strike, Etsy sellers are urging the company to cancel the fee increase, allow them to opt out of the off-site ads. That is brilliant. These were my complaints too. I just couldn't be with them. I was with them in spirit. And a recently launched program called Star Seller, which they say puts undue pressure on sellers. I doggone finally attained that Star Seller, and I see it's not there anymore. And I was so happy. I was like showing it, in a video on my Instagram because, social media. And it's like the Black Mirror episode where we all want our ding, ding, dings. Like. And I'm not, unhappy about the likes that we all get. It's just that you do feel like you have to market yourself constantly and not just yourself, but all the work you put into it, because on the other side of the fence, you've got all those hateful ones, which I know we just need to ignore, but it's hard to ignore them when they're still causing trouble. But thank God it's from a distance. Thank God. It's just sometimes it's sad because it makes, us have to command even more to keep the people safe that are not really safe because they're not allowed to stay with family members that could help keep them safe and protected, or in the same town as family members that could protect them. But the Star Seller thing, I don't have it anymore either. And they're right, it does. I used to say when they first started it wasn't fair because those of us who were there for years and years, we weren't offered this, and they were giving it to all sorts of newbies, which, God bless the newbies. Don't get me wrong. I was a newbie once too. We all have to be newbies. But the problem is it was easier for the newbies the way they had the Star Seller plan worked out. And there was so much pressure on the rest of us who already had other things that we had been keeping up for Etsy, that Etsy had been working off of our backs to make themselves rise. That's the bottom line. Okay. So interesting article, interesting things. There's more things in here. Of course, they got another side of it. All right. And these people have a Discord, which I think is smart. And I love how Cassidy said she was inspired to organize Etsy sellers after witnessing the recent union victories among Starbucks baristas and at an Amazon warehouse. And look at you, Amazon. Look at you go. Amazon was like, hey, we cleaned up our house. People were talking about us and we got busy and we did clean up. So now we have for you over here Amazon Handmade. And I have seen some videos on YouTube where people are saying, here's why Etsy's not the only game in town. So that should have been cluing me in too, because I just saw those videos like last week because I started poking around. And it should have clued me in there was far more going on, because I see some people must have experienced some problems to be doing that. But it's more than even just Amazon. But Amazon Handmade, they probably got their house cleaned and now they're like, hey, we will provide a home base for handmade sellers. And I did sell on there before, and overall, good experience. Of course, one of the reasons I stopped was I had 3 stores going at once, and it was a lot to try to 3. The other thing I'm just going to tell you, and hopefully this is not the same, because it's been at least 2 years, I want to say, since. Some of the customers would expect that you will just refund. You could tell by what they said that you would just refund their money and let you keep the item, as they were used to doing for some of the things on Amazon platform. And as someone who makes the goods and is not a mass producer or a mega box store giant that has a lot of funds, that makes it very hard for us, because of course we'd love to be able to go, oh, you can have it for free. But sadly, people need their teeth done. Now, not me personally, because I don't go to the dentist, okay? I'm just going to tell you. I do not go. But people in my family that want to go to the dentist or want to go places that I don't go, they have free will, so they go. Every time I have teeth problem, you know what I do. I'm like, you get out now. I don't have time, and I don't want to spend money on this. So you are leaving now in Jesus' name. And I'm not saying that I never have those problems try to come back, but they're not staying around. I don't have time for that, and I don't have patience for that, and we are not doing that. So it is that simple. Okay, so the rest of y'all can go. If you want to stay on, I am going to give that number a ring, because then I have it archived in the video. Even if no one else is watching, I've got it archived for me. So all of this stuff that I have shown you, especially that email, can you believe that email from that not nice person who doesn't like people reporting truth? So it's archived for me. All right, so I saw the number somewhere. Where did it go? Do I need to put the number in again? Is that what's going on? Etsy, no custom. I think it's way up here. There we go. So they're saying this is this was another interesting thing. It was incorporated in the state of Delaware in 2006 as Indico Inc., and we changed our name to Etsy in June 2006. Our headquarters are located, that's interesting address, 55 Washington Street. 11201 zip code. Let's try that number first, just for fun. This is so much fun. You got to have some fun in the day. Because if you don't, the craziness, it can get you down. But you don't want to be down. You want to be up, calling numbers to see if they... Does anybody even talk on the phone anymore? I don't know. Let's try this. Okay, so I'm going to even put it on speaker. Thanks for contacting Etsy. We don't accept incoming messages at this number. Oh, shocking. If you are an Etsy buyer or seller and need help resolving an issue, I do. We want to be sure you get the help you need. Oh, please. Please visit www.etsy.com/help for answers to your questions. We offer phone support for many issues. And you can use the contact form to request a call during available hours, or send an email to our support team. I did that. Okay, so we know that he just told us what will happen if we go there. And I've been there, but I'm just telling you that, this is verified. So now let's go down here. Is this the same number? Is this the same number, 3879? No. No, it has different prefix and everything. So let's go. Um, 844-935-3879. Let's chat, Etsy.
Available. To get help from Etsy support, go to etsy.com/help/contact. Depending on your issue, this may include requesting a secure phone callback, 24/7 live chat, or email.
Where's this chat?
Selling and buying on Etsy.
Has anyone seen it?
Security or signing into your account. Again, that's etsy.com/help/contact. If you have questions about your order or need to cancel, contact the seller.
Okay, you get the idea. Yeah, contact, put it on their back because most of the time it is on our back. Okay, so, which is fine if you're the maker of the product. I tell my customers, if you have an issue, please contact me because, those doggone stars, even the nice people, sometimes nice people just because they never give 5. Even people sometimes, a lot of my people give 5s. But there are those people out there, because I have looked at the psychology behind it, that even when they're raving about your product, it was a great thing, the person loved it, the person's still enjoying it, lots of compliments, 4 stars. And you so badly want to write back and go, and I think I used to back in the day, was there something I missed? Because you want to learn from it if you can. And a lot of times, no, they just don't give 5 stars. It's like something ingrained in them. Like, I don't know if it's from old school of, you don't get an A+. We might give you a B, but you're not going to get that doggone A. Like they're trying to keep it from you or something. And I was someone that went in, if I didn't have, sometimes the plus, but if I didn't have that doggone A, and I knew I deserved it because I followed everything in the rubric and I went above and beyond. I mean, and I always felt like maybe the teachers were a little ticked at me because they didn't, I'm detailed. You can see I'm detailed. They didn't like reading all that. So they tried to give me a B+ or something. Or A-. A-, almost worse than the B. I'm just going to tell you. Now, I wanted all my A's, but an A-, what? Where is my real A? And we would go in and we'd have a little debate. I had to do this with someone who I used to go to some of the reservations with. He was my professor. And he tried to pull that. And I got him on it because I felt that it was because I had one viewpoint of something that might lean a little certain political way, let's just say. Even though we didn't involve politics a lot, they get in there. They get in there when we're dealing with reservations and land and things like that. And I don't think he liked something a certain way I believed. And so I kind of called him on it nicely and respectfully. And, after talking to me for 20 minutes, he doggone gave me my doggone A. And he got rid of that minus. And, okay, I'm going to be honest. I think part of the reason that he did it was he was just tired of talking to me. I think he was tired of talking to me. And he was just like, I just want some peace. Please get out of my office. Because I'm nice and respectful, but you know that I can. Yep. All right, so with that, I will let you go. And if I find out anything more, because I will go poke around some more on their site and see if somehow this magical chat that they're talking about appears, because I assure you when I was going through their form, it did not appear. And they did send me what I was showing you, at the end, this one, where I at least I could see that it got sent. So is it just in an AI? Probably. And I just messed it up right there by doing that. But what have you? So fun. Apparently I'm at the Zendesk.com. So I'll poke around with that. And oh my goodness, I need to go make supper. It is late for us. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant and rave. Have a good one. And please tell me something in the comments. Tell me what I can do better. Tell me what you've heard. Tell me what's going on with you. Tell me what you've been experiencing. Even if you think it's not on this topic, I want to hear because it's probably connected somehow. Take care, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye.